High Chancellor Vexar stared at the holographic display floating above his command table. The blue light made his scaled face look even more grim than usual. 3 weeks had passed since the impossible happened. 3 weeks since a primitive species from some backwater planet had destroyed his greatest fleet. The Zephyrian Empire had ruled the outer galaxy for 2,000 years. Their ships were the most advanced, their weapons were the most powerful, their armies were unstoppable. Until they met the humans. Tell me. Again, Vexar said to his military advisor. General Thorin stood at attention, his battle scars visible under the harsh light. How many ships did these humans use? 12, High Chancellor, Thran replied. His voice was steady, but his eyes showed confusion. Our fleet had 800 vessels. The humans had 12. Vexar closed his eyes. 800 ships, the pride of the Zephyrian military, ships that had conquered 43 star systems, all destroyed or captured by 12 human vessels. And their tactics? Vexar asked. Strange. Sir, they seemed surprised to see us. The first transmission we intercepted was asking if we were lost. Thran paused. They offered to help us find our way home. A junior officer approached the table. His hands shook as he held a data pad. High Chancellor, we have new intelligence from our surviving ships. Vexar looked up. What intelligence? The human communications, sir. We recorded everything before the battle. The officer swallowed hard. The translations are complete. Show me. The hologram changed. Now it showed text in Zephyrin script. Vexar read the first message and his blood went cold. Patrol Group 7 to home base. We found some ships out here. They look angry. Should we call the real Navy? 7, Patrol Group 7, not a battle fleet, not an invasion force. Patrol Group, the next message made things worse. Home base to Patrol 7, handle it yourselves. The main fleets are busy with training exercises. Vexar read the words 3 times. Training exercises. The humans had other fleets, bigger fleets, and they were busy with training. There is more. High Chancellor, the officer said quietly. After the battle, the human commander sent this message to his superiors. Text appeared. Patrol 7 to home base. Small skirmish with unknown aliens. No damage to our ships. Aliens had primitive weapons, but good spirit. Recommend diplomatic contact. End of report. The room went silent. General Thran stepped forward. Small skirmish. They destroyed our greatest fleet and called it a small skirmish. Vexar stood up slowly. His legs felt weak. The officer looked down at his data pad. The human admiral asked permission to return to patrol duties. He was told to wait for the cleanup crew. Cleanup crew. Yes, sir. Apparently humans send special ships to collect battle debris. They said it was bad for space traffic. Another officer burst into the room. High Chancellor, urgent report from our spy networks. Vexar turned. What now? Human ship movements, sir. Our scouts have detected massive activity in their space. The new officer was breathing hard. We count over 2,000 ships in just one star system. 2,000. General Thran stepped forward. Are you certain? Yes, sir, and that is just what we can see. Our scouts report at least 12 major shipyards. Each one is building hundreds of vessels. Vexar sat back down. His mind struggled to process this information. The humans had not sent their military to destroy his fleet. They had sent a patrol group, a small Patrol group that was bored and looking for something to do, sir. Another voice called. It was his intelligence. Chief Commander Ziltalk. We have intercepted more human communications. More bad news. I am afraid so, sir. The humans are discussing what to do about us. Zilt activated his own hologram. They are debating whether to send a diplomatic mission or simply ignore us. Ignore us, yes, sir. One human official said, and I quote, they seem harmless enough. Maybe they learned their lesson. The idea. Vexistar looked around the room. His most trusted advisors all wore the same expression of shock and fear. The Zaffiran Empire, terror of the outer galaxy, was considered harmless by these humans. What about their military strength? He asked weakly. Commander Zilto checked his notes. Our best estimates suggest they have over 50,000 combat vessels, but sir, these numbers may be low. Why? Because they keep building more every day. Our scouts report new ships leaving their shipyards, and they all seem to be more advanced than the ones that defeated us. General Thorin cleared his throat. Hi, Chancellor, there is something else. Our analysis of the battle shows that the humans were holding back. How their weapons, sir? Each human ship could have destroyed our entire fleet alone, but they used minimum force. They disabled our ships instead of destroying them. They were trying not to hurt us too badly. Vexar put his head in his hands. The mighty Zahirian Empire had attacked what they thought was a weak species. Instead, they had picked a fight with beings who could have wiped them out, but chose mercy instead. What do we do now? He asked quietly. Room was silent for a long moment. Then Commander Zilto spoke. Perhaps, High Chancellor, we should consider sending our own diplomatic mission before they decide. We are not harmless after all. Vexar nodded slowly. The age of Zephyrian dominance was over. A new power had emerged in the galaxy, and that power had 12 ship patrol groups that could destroy entire fleets while barely paying attention. He wondered what their real military looked like. Commander Zilto checked his stealth suit one more time. The Zaffiran intelligence officer had volunteered for the most dangerous mission in the Empire's history. He was going to spy on the humans. Remember, he told his team through the comm system. We need to know their true military strength, find their bases, count their ships, learn their weaknesses. Sub-Commander Kesra nodded nervously. What if they catch us? They won't, Zilta said with confidence. He did not feel. Our stealth technology is the best in the galaxy. These humans are powerful, but they are still primitive. Their scout ship slipped into human space without being detected. At least Ziltalk hoped they were not detected. With humans, it was hard to be sure of anything. The first human system they entered looked peaceful, too peaceful. Space was filled with traffic. Cargo ships moved between planets like insects around flowers, mining vessels harvested asteroids. Everything looked normal and civilian. Where are they? Military ships, Kesra asked. Zilta studied his scanners. I see some patrol craft, nothing major. Maybe their fleet is based deeper in their space. They followed the shipping lanes toward what looked like a major planet. The traffic grew heavier. Then Zilto saw something that made his heart stop. Those are not cargo ships, he whispered. What he had thought were civilian vessels were actually warships, huge warships. Each one was larger than a Zaffiran battle cruiser, and they were Everywhere, hundreds of them moving, casually through space like they owned. Sir Kesra pointed at his screen. Are those weapons? Zilto looked closer. The cargo containers on the ships were actually missile launchers. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a planet, and the humans were using them to haul space garbage. New orders. Ziltok said quietly, we need to find their actual military bases. They spent 2 days searching. Every system they entered was the same, massive ships. Everywhere, all pretending to be civilian vessels. The humans had turned their entire civilization into a war machine. On the 3rd day they found something worse. Commander Kesra called. Urgently, you need to see this. Zilta looked at the scanner display and felt sick. Ahead of them was a human military exercise. 50 ships were practicing combat maneuvers around a small moon. Finally, Zilto said, real military vessels, let us observe and learn. They watched the exercise begin. The human ships moved with perfect coordination. Their weapons fired with impossible accuracy. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was what the humans were saying. Blue team, your shooting is sloppy today, came a casual voice over the comm. Try to hit something this time. Sorry, Commander Park, another voice replied with a laugh. These new weapons are too powerful, hard to dial them down for practice. Zeal stared at his translator. The humans were complaining that their practice weapons were too strong. They were deliberately weakening their guns for training. How much are they holding back? He whispered. The answer came quickly. One human ship missed its target and hit an asteroid instead. The rocks simply vanished, not exploded, vanished. The weapon had broken it down to atoms. Captain Lau came an annoyed voice. You just disintegrated a perfectly good asteroid. The mining guild will complain. Again, my fault, Commander. Captain Liu replied cheerfully. I forgot to switch to training mode. Training mode. These weapons had a training mode that was still powerful enough to destroy anything Zilto had ever seen. The exercise continued for an hour. The humans treated weapons that could destroy cities like children's toys. They joked about firepower that would terrify entire star systems. When they were done, they simply flew away like nothing important had happened. Commander, Kesra said in a shaky voice. Zeal checked his scanners. 200, maybe 300. Do sir, I have been monitoring their communications. This is training sector 7, so they have mentioned 11 other training sectors. Each one is bigger than this. Zilto closed his eyes. 12 training sectors, each with hundreds of ships. Each ship capable of destroying planets. And this was just for practice. There is more, Sir. Kesra continued. I intercepted a message about something called the Reserve Fleet. What about it? The human admiral said it was getting too crowded. They need to build more storage facilities for the extra ships. Storage facilities. The humans had so many warships, they needed special places to store the ones they were not using. Commander, another team member called. I am picking up a massive energy signature. Distance 12 light minutes. Zeal turned his ship toward the signal. What they found there would haunt his dreams forever. It was a human shipyard. Not a small facility, but a massive industrial complex stretching across half a solar system, and it was building ships, hundreds of ships, ships that made the ones they had seen look like toys. Those are not warships, Kesra Whispered, those are mobile weapons. Platforms, each new vessel was the size of a space station. Their hulls bristled with weapons that defied description. And the humans were building them like cars on an assembly line, sir. His technician called. I am detecting similar facilities in this system. 7 more shipyards, all building ships like these. 7 more in one system. Yes, sir, and Commander, the humans are building ships faster than we thought possible. Those shipyards will launch 50 new vessels this week. Zilto sat in stunned silence. 50 new ships per week from one system, and humans controlled hundreds of systems. Set course for home, he said quietly. We have learned enough. As they left human space, Zilto tried to calculate what he had seen. It was impossible. The humans had not built a military. They had built something beyond anything the galaxy had ever known. And they still acted like they were the peaceful ones. When they reached Zahirian space, Zilto sent his report to High Chancellor Vexar. It contained one simple message: recommend immediate surrender. These beings are not just powerful, they are the most terrifying force in galactic history, and they do not even realize it. Ambassador Chen Wei-Ming adjusted his simple gray suit as he stepped out of the shuttle. He looked like a harmless middle-aged man who sold insurance for a living. The Zapirian delegation waiting for him had expected someone more impressive. High Chancellor Vexar studied the human ambassador with growing confusion. This ordinary-looking person represented the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Where was his armor, his weapons, his guards? Welcome to Zephyr Prime, Vexter said formally. I am High Chancellor of the Zahirian Empire. Chen smiled politely and bowed slightly. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I am Chen Wei-Ming. I speak for Earth and her allies. Allies? Vexar made a mental note. The humans had allies already. Please follow me to the council chamber, Vexar said. He gestured toward the massive doors of his palace. We have much to discuss. As they walked, Chen looked around with genuine interest. Beautiful architecture, he said. Very impressive. How old is this building? 800 years, Vexar replied proudly. Built to show the eternal strength of our empire. Eternal, Chen repeated thoughtfully. That's a long time. Things change so quickly these days. Something in his tone made Vexar uncomfortable. They entered the council chamber where General Thorin and Trade Minister Yuktal waited. Chen took his seat across from them, still looking like he was here to discuss insurance policies. Now then, Vexar began, let us address the recent misunderstanding between our peoples. Chen nodded. Yes, that unfortunate incident with your fleet. I hope your people recovered safely. I hope your people recovered safely. Most of them, yes, thanks to your people's restraint. Well, there was no need for unnecessary violence, Chen said mildly. Your ships were clearly lost. Happens to everyone sometimes. Vexar blinked. Lost? The pride of the Zephyrian military had been lost. Perhaps we should discuss terms, General Thorin interjected. Our empire is vast and powerful. We control 43 star systems. Chen pulled out a small tablet and touched the screen. 41 systems. Actually, you lost 2 more last week too. Local rebellions. The room went silent. Thran leaned forward. How do you know about that? Those reports are classified. Chen looked up from his tablet with mild surprise. Oh, we keep track of what happens in the neighborhood, helps prevent misunderstandings like the one we just had. Vexar felt cold sweat on his scales. What kind of tracking? Nothing invasive, Chen assured him. We just monitor communications, ship movements, military deployments, standard security measures. We learned early that it's better to know what's happening before problems start. Trade Minister Ytel spoke up nervously. You monitor our communications. All of them? Not all, Chen said. Just military and government channels and shipping manifests and economic data. The usual things. He paused. Oh, and we track all your ship movements. Of course, can't be too careful, General. Thran slammed his fist on the table. That is an act of war, spying on a sovereign empire. Chen looked genuinely confused. Spying? No, this is just basic security monitoring. Every civilization does this, right? He tilted his head. You don't monitor your neighbors. We. Thran started, then stopped. The Zahirian Empire did spy on other species, but they had never suspected anyone was doing it to them anyway. Chen continued cheerfully. Let's discuss the situation. You attacked our patrol group, which was regrettable, but we understand it was probably a mistake. Vexter tried to regain control. Our empire spans hundreds of light years. We command millions of soldiers. We are not some minor power to be dismissed. Chen nodded politely. Of course not. Your empire is quite impressive, or rather it was. He touched his tablet again. According to our most recent intelligence, you're down to about 38 systems now. 3 more rebellions started yesterday. Impossible, Vexar whispered. Oh yes, Chen said, consulting his tablet. The Corvin system declared independence this morning. The Felix worlds are in open revolt, and the Theta sector just stopped answering your messages entirely. He looked up. We should probably discuss terms quickly before you lose any more territory. General Thran stood up angrily. You are behind these rebellions. You are destroying our empire. Chen looked shocked. Us? No, we would never interfere in internal politics. These are your people choosing freedom. We just keep track of when it happens. Trade Minister It'll leaned forward desperately. What do you want? What are your terms? Chen sat down his tablet and became serious for the first time. We want peace, complete withdrawal from human space, no more attacks on anyone, and reparations for the inconvenience you caused our patrol group. Reparations? Vexar laughed bitterly. We are the ones who lost 800 ships. Yes, but our people had to clean up the debris. Chen explained patiently. Do you know how expensive it is to clear 800 wrecked ships from a shipping lane? The paperwork alone took weeks. Vexar stared at him. The humans wanted payment for cleaning up the ships they had destroyed. And if we refuse, Thakran asked. Chen sighed sadly. Well, then we would have to take more direct action. Admiral Kim is waiting outside with a small escort. Perhaps you would like to meet her. Well. Through the great windows of the council chamber, Vexar could see 3 human ships hanging in space above his capital city. 3 ships just like the patrol group that had destroyed his fleet. Small escort? He asked weakly. Oh yes, just Admiral Kim's personal guard. She insisted on coming, even though I told her this was a diplomatic meeting. Chen smiled. She's very protective of our negotiating teams. General Thran checked his battle Computers. What he saw made his blood freeze. Each of those 3 ships was more powerful than anything in the Zapirian military. And this was just the Admiral's personal escort. Chen noticed their expressions. Don't worry, Admiral Kim has strict orders not to do anything unless you attack us first. We're an LT Uncan GT, very committed to peaceful solutions. The words hung in the air like a threat. Disguised as reassurance, Vexar realized that his empire was finished, not destroyed in battle, but simply made irrelevant by being so far beyond them that they could dictate terms while apologizing for the inconvenience. We accept your terms, he said quietly. Chen smiled and stood up. Excellent. I'll have the paperwork ready by tomorrow. Oh, and Chancellor, you might want to start thinking about a new form of government. Empires are so old-fashioned these days. Hi. Chancellor Vexter stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching 50,000 ships prepare for battle. It was the largest fleet in Zapirian history. Every vessel the Empire could gather, their ultimate weapon against the human threat. This will show them, he muttered to General Thran. They may be advanced, but they cannot face our entire military at once. Thran nodded, though he looked worried. They prefer them because they are weak. Vexar slammed his fist on the command console. No species can be that powerful and that peaceful. It makes no sense. Zaphiran fleet moved through hyperspace toward the human border. Intelligence reports showed only light human patrols in the target sector, nothing that could stop 50,000 warships dropping out of hyperspace in 10 seconds. The navigator announced. Vexar smiled. Soon the galaxy would see that the Zaphiran Empire still had teeth. The fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 50,000 ships spread across space like a metal storm. Vexar looked at the tactical display and felt confident for the first time in weeks. Then the human ships appeared. They came out of nowhere. One moment space was empty, except for the Zaphirian fleet. The next moment it was filled with human vessels, not dozens, not hundreds. Thousands upon thousands of ships materialized around the Zaphirians like ghosts becoming solid. Sir, the censor officer said in a shaky voice, I count 200,000 human vessels. 200,000. 4 times the size of the Zephyrian fleet. And they had appeared without warning, surrounding the Empire's greatest military force like it was a child's toy. How is that possible? Vexar whispered. General Thran checked his instruments. Sir, these are not the ships we encountered before. These are different. 2D2. The human vessels were massive. Each one was twice the size of a Zapirian battleship. Their hulls were sleek and black, covered with weapon systems that defied identification. They moved with perfect coordination, like a single organism with 200,000 parts. A communication came through on all frequencies. The voice was calm, almost bored. Zaphirian fleet, this is Fleet Admiral Park Jinwoo of Sector Defense Force Delta. You are trespassing in protected space. Please power down your weapons and prepare to be escorted home. Vexar grabbed the communicator. We are the Zaphirian Empire. We do not take orders from anyone. There was a pause. Then Admiral Park replied, I see. Well, that's unfortunate. Stand by. The human fleet began to move, not attacking, just positioning themselves. Each movement was precise and calculated. Within minutes, every Zephyrian ship was targeted by at least 4 human vessels. Sir, the weapons. Officer called out, they're targeting. Systems have locked onto us, all of us. Simultaneously. Vexar stared at the tactical display. Every ship in his fleet was caught in multiple targeting beams. The coordination required for such an action was impossible. No fleet could move that. Precisely, fire at will, Vexar screamed. All ships attack. The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with everything they had. Thousands of missiles streamed toward the human ships. Energy beams cut through space. Every weapon the Empire possessed was unleashed at once. The humans did not even bother to dodge. The missiles struck human shields and simply vanished. The energy beams hit their hulls and scattered harmlessly. The greatest bombardment in Zephyrian history had no effect whatsoever. Admiral Park's voice came through again, still sounding bored. Are you finished? Good. Now observe. One human ship fired a single shot, just one. The energy beam reached out across space and touched a small asteroid floating nearby. The rock disappeared, not destroyed, not broken apart, simply gone as if it had never existed. That was our lowest power setting, Admiral Park explained conversationally. Each of our vessels carries approximately 4,000 weapons of that type. We also have larger ones for special occasions. Vexar felt his legs give out. He sank into his command chair, staring at the display. Each human ship could erase his entire fleet with a single volley, and there were 200,000 of them. Surrender, General Thran whispered. Zephyrian fleet, Admiral Park continued. You will now power down all weapons and engines. Any ship that fails to comply will be disabled. Any ship that continues to resist will be destroyed. You have 30 seconds. Vexar reached for the fleet communication system with trembling hands. All ships powered down immediately. Surrender to human forces. 10. The order went out across the fleet. Within moments, 50,000 Zephyrian ships went dark. The greatest military force in their history had surrendered without landing a single blow. A human shuttle approached Vexar's flagship. Admiral Park himself came aboard, escorted by 2 humans in simple uniforms. He was a small, quiet man who looked like a teacher or librarian. Chancellor Vexter, Park said politely as he entered the bridge. I am sorry this was necessary. We had hoped you would accept Ambassador Chen's terms. Your fleet, Vexar said weakly. 200,000 ships. Where did they come from? Park looked genuinely surprised. Fleet? Oh, this is not a fleet. This is Sector Defense Force Delta. We have 12 such forces plus the Strategic Reserve. 12, yes, we keep them stationed around human space for routine patrol duties. Sector Defense Force Alpha is actually larger than Delta, but they were busy with training exercises. Vexar stared at him. Training exercises? You have larger forces doing training exercises? Well, yes, how else would our crews stay sharp? Park checked a small device on his wrist. Speaking of which, I need to get these ships back to their patrol routes. We have a schedule to maintain. General Thran stepped forward. Admiral, how many ships does humanity possess? Park thought for a moment. Active vessels, perhaps 2 million, but we are always building more. Space is dangerous, and we like to be prepared. 2 million ships, the number was beyond comprehension. The Zephyrian Empire had struggled to build 50,000 vessels over centuries. The humans had built 2 Million, and we're still adding more. Why? Vexar asked, why do you need so many ships? Park looked confused by the question. Why? For defense, of course. There are dangerous things out there. Aggressive species, natural disasters, rogue planets. We learned long ago that it is better to be overprepared than underprepared, but you could conquer the entire galaxy with such a force. Conquer? Park shook his head. We do not want to conquer anyone, we just want to be safe, and now that we have met you, we want to make sure you are safe too. He gestured toward the human fleet surrounding them. These ships will escort you home, we will help you rebuild your government, create something more stable and peaceful. The galaxy is big enough for everyone, but only if everyone behaves. Vexar looked out at the human ships. Dark and silent, they waited with infinite patience. 200,000 vessels that could destroy star systems, commanded by a man who spoke of safety and peace. What have we done? He whispered. Admiral Park heard him and smiled sadly. You picked a fight with the wrong neighbors, Chancellor, but do not worry, we are very good at helping people recover from their mistakes. 6 months later, former High Chancellor Vexar stood in what had once been his throne room. Now it was a simple office where he worked as the elected leader of the Zapirian Republic. The change still felt strange, but he was learning to accept it. A gentle knock came at his door. Ambassador Chen Ming entered, carrying a steaming cup of something that smelled wonderful. A blend from Earth that I think you might enjoy. Vexar accepted the cup gratefully. In the months since humanity had taken charge of galactic affairs, he had grown to appreciate their small kindnesses. Thank you, Ambassador. Please sit. Chen settled into a chair across from Vexar's desk. Through the window, they could see the construction crews working on the new city center. Human engineering teams worked alongside Zapirian workers, building schools and hospitals where military bases had once stood. The Galactic Cooperation Council meeting is next week, Chen said. Are you prepared for your speech? Vexar nodded. I have been practicing. It is still difficult to believe that 47 different species want to hear what I have to say. I. 49 now, Chen corrected gently. The Altarians and the Centauri Union both requested membership yesterday. They want the protection and prosperity that comes with human oversight, protection, and prosperity. 6 months ago, those words would have made Vexar angry. Now he understood their true meaning. The galaxy had never been more peaceful or more prosperous than under human guidance. How do you do it? Vexar asked. How do you manage so many different species, so many conflicting interests? Chen sipped his tea thoughtfully. We learned from our own mistakes. Humans spent centuries fighting each other before we figured out that cooperation works better than conquest. When we went to the stars, we decided to do things differently, but your military power is necessary for peace. Chen finished. We learned that bullies only understand strength, but we also learned that strength without wisdom leads to tyranny. So we built our forces to protect, not to conquer. Vector looked out the window again. In the distance, he could see a human patrol ship making its lazy way across the sky. 6 months ago, such a sight would have terrified him. Now it was comforting. Those ships kept pirates away and ensured that trade flowed freely. President Yang wants to meet with you next week, Chen continued. She is interested in your thoughts on the new exploration project, the intergalactic mission. Yes, humanity is planning to send ships beyond our galaxy. We want to make sure we leave things here in good hands before we go. Vexar nearly dropped his teacup. You are leaving too, Vexar. Too? Chen smiled at his reaction. Not leaving entirely, we will still maintain our bases and patrol routes. But most of our exploration fleets will be heading for the Andromeda Galaxy. There are signals coming from there that suggest intelligent life, more species. To meet, Vexar said, more potential friends, Chen corrected, or potential problems. Either way, we prefer to meet them on our terms rather than wait for them to come here. A communication device chimed on Vexar's desk. He touched the screen and saw Admiral Kim Soo-jin and LT Uncan GT's face appear. She was calling from her flagship somewhere in deep space. Good morning, Admiral, Vexar said politely. Over the months, he had developed great respect for the human military leader. Good morning, President Vizar. I wanted to update you on the pirate situation in the Outer Rim. We have cleared out the last of the raiders. Your shipping lanes are now completely secure. Thank you, Admiral. My people are grateful for your protection. Kim smiled. No protection needed anymore. We have trained your new defense force. Well, they can handle local security. From now on, it was true. The humans had spent months teaching Zapirian forces how to maintain peace without oppression. The lessons had been difficult for a military raised on conquest, but the results spoke for themselves. Any word from the exploration fleets? Chen asked Admiral Kim. They launched this morning, 2,000 ships heading for Andromeda. Captain Liu Mingho is leading the advanced scouts. Kim paused. He is excited about the possibility of making new friends. Vexar shook his head in wonder. 2,000 ships. More firepower than most galactic empires could dream of, and the humans were using it to make friends with strangers in another galaxy. After Admiral Kim ended the call, Vexar turned to Chen. What if you find hostile species in Andromeda? What if they are like we were to our? I wasn't to our. Chen's expression grew serious. Then we will try diplomacy first, just like we did with you. But if they refuse to listen, he shrugged, we have learned that peace sometimes requires strength, and if they are more advanced than you, Chen laughed, then we will learn from them. One of humanity's greatest strengths is our ability to adapt. If we meet someone smarter or stronger than us, we will figure out how to work with them. Chen laughed. It was of humanity's greatest dream. The office door opened and President Young Min herself walked in. Vexar started to stand, but she waved him back down. Please stay seated. I wanted to speak with you personally before the council meeting. Young settled into another chair and accepted a cup of tea from Chen. What can I do for you, President Young? Vexar asked. I want to offer you something, Young said, a chance to help explore Andromeda. Vexar blinked. Me, your people, the Zephyrian Republic has proven itself to be reliable and peaceful. We would like to include some of your ships in the exploration fleet, but we do not have the technology. We will share it, Young said simply, along with training and support. Your people know what it is like to meet humans for the first time. That experience could be valuable when we encounter new species. Vexar felt tears forming in his eyes. 6 months ago, humanity had been his enemy, now they were offering to make his people partners in the greatest adventure in galactic history. Why, he whispered, after what we did to you, why would you trust us? President Young leaned forward. Because you learned, because you changed, because you chose cooperation over conquest. She smiled. Sango the takes in Sunlu, she smiled. Besides, the galaxy is safer when former enemies become friends. Chen stood up. I should let you two discuss the details. President V-Star, think about it carefully. This is a chance for your people to help shape the future of two galaxies. After Chen left, Young and Vexar talked for hours. They discussed ships and crews, training programs, and cultural exchanges. By the time their meeting ended, the Zephyrian Republic had become humanity's first full partner in intergalactic exploration. That evening, Vexter stood on his balcony, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were already crossing the void between galaxies. Soon Zephyrian ships would join them. He thought about the old empire built on fear and conquest. Then he looked down at his city where humans and Zafarans worked together to build something better. The galaxy had a new order now. Not an empire built on strength, but a community built on trust. And at its heart were the humans, the species that had accidentally become the most powerful force in galactic history, simply by trying to be prepared for anything. Tomorrow, Vexar would give his speech to the Galactic Council. He would talk about cooperation and peace, about learning from mistakes and building better futures. But tonight he simply stood under the stars and marveled at how much the galaxy had changed. The humans had kept their promise. They had brought peace through strength, prosperity through cooperation, and hope through their endless willingness to turn enemies into friends. In the distance, a human patrol ship drifted silently across the sky, keeping watch over a galaxy that finally knew what peace looked